It's a little bit rainy January night, and I thank you for coming out. Welcome to our annual open mic. And this year it's at Gage. We love Gage. They're very welcoming to us, and they allow us to prepare our tea and coffee and snacks. So please help yourself now or before you leave. Feel free to get up at any point. I would like to share something for you from Ed Gold's new book called Sundown. Here's the book. It's beautiful. Just arrived today to me. It's called Why. And it is in respect to the Emanuel AME Charleston, South Carolina murders. We asked the red bottle brushes blooming off the back porch. We asked the woman who was singing and writing parking tickets. We asked the colossal white blossoms of the magnolia tree. We asked the cashier named Wilnetta at the Harris Teeter. We asked the cedar waxwings swarming the hollyberries. We asked the new baby, Helena Wren Silverman. We asked the hailstones striking west of the Ashley. We asked the oil truck that overturned and blocked I-26. We asked the helicopter circling the neighborhood. We asked the couple holding hands under a maroon umbrella. We asked the two mourning doves sitting close on the wire. We asked the cardinal who placed a millet seed in his mate's mouth. We asked the aviator sunglasses forgotten on the porch table. We asked the smoky smudge of the citronella candle. We asked the blue flowers on the Kleenex box. We asked the juice glass with a decal from a moose paw. We asked the first brown clutch of leaves and the green of the pin oak. We asked the empty hammock on the porch next door. We asked the crow we thought was an eagle until he cawed. We asked the green apple who hopped on a branch and turned brown. We asked the hawks whose chick refused to leave the nest. We asked the locust tree that didn't blossom and fruit this year. We asked the mutant sunflowers sprouting under the bird feeders. We asked our neighbor whose throat is healing from radiation. We asked the house finch on the sconce with his eye crusted over. We asked the little boy who played dead under the pew. We asked the mockingbird who sang for 5 minutes before starting over. What a beautiful question, right? And all the ways that we can ask the same question. In the beautiful asking, I think that's what poetry does. And I believe we will hear some of that questioning in the poetry tonight. And also perhaps some suggested answers or how we might find our way through this maze, this questioning, this struggling of being human. Jim, I'll turn it over to you. Jim Lundy.
Election.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. We need to elect a couple of new officers tonight, mid-year. Some people have had to resign for various reasons. So I would like to propose that we vote in Glennis Redmond as the vice president of the Poetry Society, and that we vote in Loli Molina Munoz as the recording secretary for the Poetry Society. And we are still seeking a corresponding secretary. So if someone is interested, please send me an email. You can send the email at the website or Tamara Miles SC for South Carolina at Gmail, or at every corner, every county at Gmail. And we'd love to have you on the board. So what I'd like to do is just sort of put forth a vote. If everyone is in agreement with electing these two persons, would you raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
Anyone in objection? Nay, raise your hand. I believe the ayes have it. We will be very, very excited to have these two brilliant women joining our board, right? Thank you very much. And now I will bring up Jim Lundy to orchestrate the night. And if you'd like to give the girls. Whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Okay.
They believe a person could harm themselves or others, and carrying proof of insurance. Another chapter would require sellers to give
Zoom is always full of surprises, isn't it? You never know what you're gonna get, like a box of chocolates. For anyone coming up and reading tonight, these wheels don't lock. So if you like lean against this thing, you're gonna go flying into the audience, which might make for a good blooper reel for our Zoom. Is this loud? Can you, somebody turn that up in the back of the speaker? Because I don't think it's gonna be loud enough. There's a volume knob right in the middle.
Okay.
And just check, 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 check. And then louder,
Let's
louder.
see if that helps.
Hello?
This.
Is that a little better?
What's this?
You want it even louder? Is it good?
Okay.
Okay. So you never really know how close someone's gonna get to the mic when you have open mic. Some people who are a little shy, they'll want to stand like 3 feet away.
And some people are loud. I'm a teacher, so we're always loud.
And let me tell you, that makes it worse. If you're shy to get up here and then you stand 3 feet away from it, it's even more terrifying because people can't, if they're looking at you, they can't hear a word you're saying. So, well, the open mic is a really special event. It's not quite our oldest tradition in the Poetry Society, but it's pretty darn old. We've been doing this very, very regularly since the 1992-1993 calendar year, so 30 years, over 30 years now. And with a few exceptions, so we interrupted our regular January open mic for our 90th anniversary celebration, for our 100th anniversary celebration. We memorialized one of our beloved presidents who died very suddenly and very shockingly for us, Susan Myers. We dedicated one of the Januaries to her. But otherwise, we've been pretty consistent with this thing. And I've been emceeing it now for well, this is the 11th year that I've done it. And I always think it's a lot of fun. I ran my own open mic for a very long time at East Bay Meeting House, Monday Night Poetry and Music. I think several of you have been there or were there. I no longer do that. It ended in 2017, but it was some very good years, really fun. And I really like the process of a lot of people I saw come up, for the first time, just shaking in their boots and, and then after a while, they were some of our best poets. And it's really neat to see people grow and thrive in front of an audience, because it's really hard at first to get in front of an audience. I know I have a very good memory of having to give a presentation in freshman year of college, and I could almost not even speak. My voice was quavering so much. And it's funny, I'm really, really, really comfortable in front of audiences now. So it's fun. And there's nothing, even if you're a little scared when you're up here and you sit down, you feel like great. It's endorphins running through you or what it is. But okay, so normally I have some sort of gimmick for the door prize. But I don't have one worked out, but we are going to give Ed Gold's book Sundown. He wasn't able to be here tonight. I emailed him and his wife was sick, and I thought, well, maybe that's good because whatever he brought over here might make us all sick. But so we're going to give this Ed Gold book, and it is signed to Tamara. You sure you want to give it away?
Well, I can get another copy.
Okay.
He won't mind.
How about this? Anyone who signed up as a new member tonight want to have this book? And just don't be shy. Raise your hand. Do you want it?
I plan on signing this. Yes, that's what I got written out. He told me I have the option to consider one or I already.
Okay, you're gonna read?
Yes.
Yeah, she's on the list.
Okay, then this book is yours.
Oh,
And I'm sorry that it says Tamara, but if you want, I'll get you a different copy.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Or you can just change your name to Tamara. That's an option.
I'm gonna read it regardless.
Okay,
This is better.
it's a really good book.
He would love to see another copy.
And
Don't worry,
Thank you.
this is a preview of Cutting Attraction.
you're welcome. I know you'll enjoy it. Ed Gold is, I swear Ed Gold is the nicest person I know. He is gold. That's the perfect last name. All right, so this is, I think I told you about, a little bit about the history. The rules, I think what we're gonna do is, we have so few people tonight. Sometimes our list runs into 20, 30 people. And in those cases, we really need to stick to the limit. But tonight, if we don't go over an hour, if you want to read 2 poems, or if you want to draw your prefacing out a little bit, just don't bore us. That's all I ask. But we have a little bit of latitude with the rules tonight. And I guess that's about all I have. Oh, a little bit of history. This is the 707th time Poetry Society of South Carolina gathered for a reading. We've been in operation since 1920 continuously, and that's how we were able to rack up all those readings. 100 years ago tonight, not quite tonight, but this month, a reader was Padraig Colum. He was a leader in the Irish literary revival of the early 20th century. Really neat person. He's a raconteur, a storyteller. He wrote just about everything in every style there is literary. He wrote children's stories, he wrote novels, he wrote nonfiction. He was a good friend of James Joyce. He and his wife wrote a book called Our Friend James Joyce. I don't know if you ever read that, but he read for the Poetry Society 4 times in his very long life. He lived to be 90 years old. And I would love to have met him. One of the real intriguing characters of all the people that I met by writing the book about the Poetry Society was Padraig Colum. Neat person. And grew up poor, of course. There's, I guess the Irish, it's like not an option. But so you think of him tonight. And I'm going to start, oh gosh. And I don't go in order. So if you wrote your name down and you think you're going to be the last or the first, it's not going to work out that way. I'm sorry to tell you. I'd like to surprise you. If you knew where you were coming up, you might start getting nervous in advance. It's just better to spring it on you. It's like ripping off the bandage. So how about, I'm going to start with one of our board members, and a longtime board member too, John Byrne.
Come on up, John. Get ready.
Can you guys hear me? Is it working? Thanks, Jim. I had a feeling. All right, so we have a little bit of leeway with the time, so I'll give a little bit more backstory. I'm going to read a poem. I wrote it, I don't know, one afternoon. I was working from home, and my boyfriend was at work, and he was having a really hard day. So he told me, he was just like, oh my God, work has just ground me to a pile of dust. And so I was like, okay, there you go. I'm going to write this poem it's called To My Lover When He Returns Home from Work, Ground to Dust. And he's over there, and work ground him to dust today. So in answer to Tamara's question earlier, I would say maybe we could try a little tenderness.
Yes.
To my lover when he returns home from work, ground to dust. I locked the big broom in the closet, so there's nothing to fear. But here, the little hand brush and dustpan. Let's get you cleaned up. I'll close the garage door. I'll set the latch and flip the switch. You look radiant as ever. Bright bone glinting, while I scoop you up to the couch, where I've laid a pillow and blanket. I pull the chain that hangs from the fan 3 times so it slows, so bits of you won't blow around the room. It's okay though, if you do. You're already all over this place, on the bookshelves with the other dust, below the TV stand and sound bar, hanging behind the bathroom door, piled in laundry baskets and tucked in the front hall with my coats and shoes. I wet my hands and dip them into you, muddle the clay to form the shape of you, set you back to dry. Something easy tonight, I think. Frozen pizza. I'll start the oven. Stay right where you are. Take as much time as you need.
Thanks, John. That's a great expression, grounded dust. I feel like that a lot. Check these off. I see a good lead in. You used white bone in your, so we have a Cheryl bone here tonight. And we gave her a little bit of a fright when she showed up and said, I'm a member. And I said, nope, you're not a member. But she is a member and she's on the list, and somehow in 14-point font, it did not register. And so sorry about that, but we're gonna have you come on up here next.
I do need to make one correction. It's B-O-A-N, not B-O-N-E. So I get that all the time, but yeah. Been writing poetry for a very long time, and I've never really shared any of it. So I've got a couple, because one kind of explains how I became. I attended a workshop led by a Nikki Grimes, and this is what she said to me. Be stubborn about your dreams. This is what she said, and looked straight at me, never knowing the impact of her words. I was just another face in the crowd. No one she knew or would come to know, yet she made a connection. Her words made a difference, and I was forever changed. Which led me to voice. We are all born with one. As babies, we are encouraged to use our voice. The adults in our lives coo and gaga and dada, feverishly trying to get us to speak, to be heard. And then, once we start using our voice, those very adults spend just as much time and energy trying to get us to shh, quiet, hush. For the most part, we comply until we become teenagers. Then we scream to be heard. We rebel. We resist. We are loud. Then once again, we are silenced, not knowing why or how, but we lose our voice. Unfortunately, there is not another significant phase of our lives where we rebel, we resist, or demand to be heard. Some of us remain silent for the rest of our lives. Some of us reach a breaking point and we resort to violence to be heard. Some of us withdraw, not only from friends, family, and colleagues, but also from ourselves. We become busy. We become depressed. And some of us do find our voice once again, and we use it. We celebrate it, and only fleetingly regret we ever lost it at all.
Thank you, Cheryl. I was actually thinking about that exact concept today when you said that teenagers and we're screaming to be heard, we want to be heard. I think that is the human condition. We want, one of my favorite songs, and it's not one of the ones that got a lot of airplay, but Simon and Garfunkel's song, The Only Living Boy in New York. Does anyone know that song? there's kind of a chorus there and it says, "Here I am." It's like, just here I am. I think we're all just saying that, like, here I am. And that's why social media, social media really took off when it was like new for us. And we're all like, here I am, here's pictures of my dog, and here's, here's what I had for lunch. I guess we want to feel important, and I think that's a human need. And getting up here tonight might make you feel important. I hope it does. How about Richard Garcia? He is one of the greats of the Poetry Society. Goes back forever. I mean, you showed up in the early 2000s and found the Poetry Society very, very quickly after that. And so Richard's been a board member. He's been our program chairman. He has read for the Poetry Society on many occasions. And this is going to be one more occasion. Richard Garcia, everybody.
Well, I was teaching this week at home, and one of the things I taught was the goggles. And so I wrote a few goggles as an example. So I'll read you two of them. Speaking of, what did you say? It's like a statement or
Prefacing?
Yeah, a ghazal has a refrain in it. And the refrain repeats, and it has a rhyme in it. But the rhyme occurs just before the refrain. It doesn't occur in the end of the line. And it comes from a lot of different cultures, like from Pakistan and earlier India. Okay, this is ghazal at 3 in the morning. 3 in the morning is the hour of the wolf. It's the time when most people die. It's a scary time. When you wake up from a dream or can't get back to sleep, Ghazal of 3 in the morning. People have a habit of dying at 3 in the morning. You can stop breathing at 3 in the morning. Your dog wakes you up. His cold nose pokes your hand. Who is he barking at? Barking at 3 in the morning. Sometimes you tumble backwards into sleep, falling backwards, spiraling at 3 in the morning. It's the hour of the wolf, you tell your dog. Max, stop whining at 3 in the morning. It is the hour you hear footsteps in the next room. You're unmoored, drifting at 3 in the morning. Your body's at low tide, your blood moves slow. Richard, it's also awake, twitching at 3 in the morning. And one of the things that a ghazal has, it has the name of the poet at the end. And one of the ghazals that Ed Gold read, he's in my group, he described, he snuck his name in at the end. And that's the thing you can do, you can put it in a sort of a nifty way, And so he used the word eddies, like eddies in a spiral. And that was at the last line. So it was a way of sneaking his way in. And a good phrase to use sometimes is it's like a song title, for instance, And so this is this is about times you found yourself wandering, doing some hard travel, maybe. It's called, he uses a song title, Into the Mystic. Eyes closed to the audience, into the mystic, he sings, entranced, into the mystic. Have we met before on New Year's Eve? Coincidence happenstance into the mystic. Walking around Mexico City, hungry, no money, hunger and exhaustion, free admittance into the mystic. Pathetic that Christmas day at the movies in San Francisco, George Bailey's grievance into the mystic. Gunfire in the morning in LA, no, just child's play. Memories entrance into the mystic. Turn, Dick Whittington. Turn, George Bailey, turn. In your pocket, Suzu's petals, acceptance into the mystic. The newspaper in the wind spins through time, just like the song, Richard. You advance into the mystic.
Oh, Into the Mystic is playing in the background. All right, thank you for adding a second. Oop.
Go ahead.
Thank you for those two wonderful poems. I loved both of them. Let's get, there's a roulette wheel here. Simon Martineau. Pronounce that right?
You did.
Okay.
Thank you. Are we doing one poem, two poems?
You can do two.
We did two. This is a poem I wrote a few years ago. It came from a news clip after the murder of George Floyd. So this is where this came from. The title of the poem is called Sorrow. The wailing woman wanders in demonstration. Her voice undulates in hurtful resignation. She remembers the unbroken cry of her offspring, dispatched without so much as a thought. She croons, distraught, through the mass of hearts and minds, their voices raised in lamented ceremony. They argue the fact of creation in relation to witnessed events, so readily dismissed with lies, prompted by false promise, held high above the lie. She screams into the void of disbelief, a warped image, discordant, recordant, torn asunder, rumbling thunder, a soul manifested, sucked away from the scene to dream. From above, below, and aside, there she cried, a torrent of tears, to wash away cylindrical fears. Lashing the cord in response, stiff, erect, bereft, correct, so saith the patronage, the patriarchal nonsense. Please take offense to no proven defense of mischief and malevolence. Mother, where do we go now? They ask. She wipes her brow, armed with a task to unmask with coordinated conscience, a premeditated response to treachery in the face of heinous mockery. The lioness crouches with topaz eyes, squinted in disguise. It is a coming, a time chronological. It is a coming. This poem, I've never read this poem before, but this is a poem I wrote about a friendship, or some would say mystical friendship. The title of the poem is called The Thin Dark Veil. Anna, I feel you, but I don't see you. This is troubling to me who wishes to be free from constraints both perceptive and reflective. I thank you kindly for your gracious acceptance of my preference in relevance to the thin dark veil. Anna, you warm me through the chill of the night when wind whips, rain lashes, and lightning illuminates this hallowed ground. Alone am I, alone are you. Night after night we muddle through, ever hoping, ever wishing, and given the right condition, I may pierce through the thin dark veil. Anna, I know I found you, and you know you found me. Or maybe we found each other in the essence of time, as if aligned within the presence of a moment, as of a rhyme darkly played out with the murmurs of a shout, reverberating the tremors of the long dark night. On this side of the thin dark veil. Anna, heavy are my footsteps on this unrequited realm, where rudderless I stare, disregarding any semblance of helm. Cross on over, and abide a little while, between space, neither here nor there. To be clear, we may dance in any given style on the other side of the thin dark veil. And may we spoon to the full moon while the crow caws to the end of the bitterness of winter. Free, our limbs will gesticulate, our voices articulate the soulful voice of forbearance, so dark in its countenance and remembrance of loved ones past in the garden, namely here, Eden, on the other side of the thin dark veil. And should we love as children love the uncertainty of the moment, raw and rebellious we revel over our choice to wear no yoke of conformity, melodious and rapturous we enchant incantations to dwell amongst us, an orchestration, a manifestation of loving insight to what is real in contradiction to the perceived echoed on my side of the thin dark veil. Anna, melded together forever somewhere east of heaven, I see you are the light of the cosmos. A sense of euphoria has befallen me. We are no longer the night so full of fright. Silken warmth has enveloped our beings, our breathing, our seeing, our hearing, our tasting and feeling. A simple star is who we are on the other side of the thin dark veil. Anna, time it appears no longer exists. There are no requisites of trust, simply trust incarnate, manifested at the gate of this celestial realm. A luscious, a synthesis of the known, the unknown, and the two to be discovered. The jeweled encrusted map resonates and pulsates the direction on the stepping stones across the great divide, no longer disguised by the thin dark veil. Anna, will our music play forever in the land of the never, never? Why are we staying at its threshold? Is it me? Is it you? Why may we not pass on through? What more has to be resolved? Do our stories have to be retold? Are not the notes of clarity echoed in the sentiment of our union? Though, am I not ready to pass through the thin dark veil? Anna, the first step is the death. Before the death, and then there will be no death. A harmonious step to many steps in the never-ending journey. Once I pass through, will we continue on together to each threshold of each gate, only to discover others would feel the heartbeat of our souls. On this commencement, I will be absolved of the thin dark veil. Thank you.
We left the poem up here. So Simon is one of our brand new members as of tonight. So welcome to the Poetry Society. Something else you should keep in mind, since I think most people here are poets, we are in the middle of our submission period for the spring contest. So I don't know how much money there is up for grabs, from $1,500, $2,000. A lot of money is out there. If you go to our website, you can find out the details for submitting. Any member submits free. You could submit to every single one of the contests, and you just might make a bunch of money.
Plus you get published in the yearbook.
And you get published in the yearbook. It's a win-win. So keep that in mind. And I am going to stick on the, oh, I wanted to say this too. There's poetry, and then there's poetry read with a British accent. And it is always so much better with the British accent. Yes. So thank you for classing this joint up a little bit. I'm going to stick with the new member theme. Is it Kiara or Ciara or?
It's Sierra.
Oh, Sierra.
Come on up,
Sierra Dove,
Yes.
another brand new member.
Glad to have you, Sarah.
Having me. This is actually from my book.
Come on up, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is from my book. I was trying to, I was kind of debating on which one I should read. So I didn't want to get emotional because I am new here. So I will read you one that makes me less emotional. So this one is titled My Heart's Desire. Do I follow my heart or do I follow, let me start over. Okay. Do I follow my heart's desire or do I follow my heart? I want to do my own thing now, so with one, I have to part. My heart's desire is to find me, find out who I am and what I stand for. Test the capacity of my capabilities and find out what exactly life has in store. My heart's desire is to embark on new experiences, go places I've never been and do things I've never done. Meet people I've never met, perhaps even tan nude under the blazing hot sun. My heart's desire is to go back to school, be someone I thought I wouldn't, take on new and exciting challenges, prepare to do things I thought I couldn't. So, and I spoke to my husband about this before I came up here, and he was like, "Are you sure you're going to be able to read that without getting emotional?" I was like, "I think I'm good." So I got it out, you know, like 5 years ago. So my mom passed 5 years ago, just to kind of set the tone. She passed 5 years ago, November 9th. And, but this poem, I actually wrote it a while ago. I wrote it in 2007. But like during that time, she was kind of going through things and I was going through things, like just missing her all the time. So every time, there's a lot of poems that I wrote where I find myself talking about my mom a lot. And so this one is called Mommy Don't Go. So here goes, just bear with me. I asked her a question, she told me no lie. The answer I will never mention. Assumed to be her destiny, I will deny. Denied the fact that it's consuming my mother. Hide what it is that's making her sick. I will not let this take the best of her. Then again, her future, I cannot predict. I ask her, do you know where your destiny lies? Because what I said, I do not want to come true. She tells me, this time I'm going to die. I say, I take it back. Those words weren't meant for you. The harshest thing I could have ever said, this time you're going to die. Those words I continue to dread. Please don't go. This is not the day nor the time. I'm haunted by the fear of you leaving this earth, visions embedded in my mind of how you will go. How will I explain to my kids who I am, who you are, and what you're worth? I can't even pretend to have a clue. This, I just don't know. So mommy, please stay with me. Don't go. I can't stop going through the motions and crying. I miss you so much, more than words could ever show. Your love was snatched away so quick. Now I'm dying. Dying to hear your voice, dying to hear your breath, dying to hear I love you. One last time before you rest.
Congratulations, reading for us for the first time and being a new member. And winning the door prize. You were like the trifecta tonight. So I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. We had two new members. I'm gonna go to one who's been a member for an awfully long time and a member of the board. And she has been very passionate about spearheading a really exciting program that I think has been gaining traction. It's called Poetry Trails, and it's where members, well, anyone, members of the Poetry Society, not members, can meet up at a park, walk around the park, and share poems as they go, stopping and just enjoying the natural setting and sharing poems. So it's kind of like an open mic on walking. So Tina, come on up.
Go ahead and tell them about.
Okay, Well, first of all, I'm kind of thinking the musical things too. I've enjoyed our new members too, and I kind of was in the moment with Simon's thinking of the Moody Blues, the spoken word parts because of his cadence doing the poems. But our poetry trails are poems that we kind of do together. Sometimes we have a contest, and we have some wonderful prizes when we get a contest. Tamara has some great people to hook up with, and we've given away guitars actually as a contest prize. And it's no cost to enter, no cost usually to go to them. We're just going around the state trying to gather some more momentum and kind of network a little bit more without being indoors. You don't have to read, you can just join us. We've had gawkers just walk with us. So, you know, they're curious, but then they kind of enjoy it. So we kind of spread our word that way. And we have one coming up in Sumter at the end of the month on the 27th. Some of us are going to be there to see the Swan Lake Iris Gardens. And I know it's January, but hopefully the weather holds out for us. We would love to have you come to any or all that you would like to enjoy, depending on if you want to drive. And
January 27th,
27.
10 a.m.
Yeah. You did a great job, so we held it all together too, CR. This one's an old one, so some of the people have already heard this, including Jim, because I was fortunate enough to be part of the poems that he would have on Monday night, poems and music. They were downtown on East Bay for a while, for several years. And this one is called Gift Shop Jesus, Gift Shop Jesus. Weary, bickering, traveling families pull into a gift shop off the turnpike to browse in search of a cheap memento. Pecan or pecan, how you like to say it, rolls, rows of shot glasses, lewd tin humorous signs, bumper stickers, t-shirts, postcards abound, and by the cash register, a freezer full of individual ice cream treats to balm the cranky, stiff, contorted bodies. Yet over on the paneled wall near the bathrooms, next to black velvet framed paintings of Elvis, are several diagonally cut tree trunk planks, each decoupaged with the word inspiration. Under a yellow sepia muted, pensive searching your soul with his eyes, portrait of Jesus, which ends up journeying home to be mounted on many paneled living room walls across America.
Thanks, Tina. That is one of my favorites. I've had the pleasure of hearing that a couple times at East Bay Meeting House over the years. And I was not going to insert myself into the program this early, but I see the good segue with that because mine is also Jesus themed. And well, in the sense that it takes place in Catholic school. I was recently, so I read a book recently called Hoping and Praying by Wally Lamb, and it takes place, it's around Christmas time. It takes place in Catholic school in the 1960s, mid-60s, like that would be about 10 years before I had my Catholic school experience in the same grade. And anyway, it just brought all those memories back. I kind of feel fortunate enough that I was in a time where there were still lots of nuns and then later priests when I went to a Jesuit high school, still teaching. So I had the whole, penguin in front of the class experience. And that's not the case anymore. And the nuns and priests are kind of an endangered species at this point. But at this point, I'm agnostic to say the least, but I just really value my Catholic school education. It really made me who I am today. Prefacing this, Sister Zita was my 5th grade homeroom teacher, and I think at that time we probably just stayed in her class most of the time. She taught me science. She was old, and not just because I was a kid, but I mean, she was probably entered the did nunhood in the 1920s. And she was very short because I was a fifth grader and I was much taller than she was. And it all come out here. So it's called Sister Zita Teaches the Eskimos. Sister Zita, oh, I gotta demonstrate this because this is another thing. And I might be I like to think I'm the only person who remembers Sister Zita as well as, like I do. But when we would pray, we'd have to say the Hail Mary every day at the start of science class. And she would, interlock her for praying. She would interlock her fingers like that, but then she would skew her thumbs like that. So it was a very strange thing. And I don't know why, but it must have meant something to her. And so this is, I bring to you a poem that's probably the only poem that records how Sister Zita clasped her hands during prayer. Sister Zita led us in the Hail Mary each day with her hands folded in a skewed manner, fingers interlocked, right palm facing down, left palm facing heaven. Even at the age of 10, I knew her material on Eskimos was hopelessly out of date. She was old by then and dead by the time I hit high school. It was the first time I decided I didn't believe in God. The day she scolded me in the hall for whatever horrible thing I did in class. Her ankles spilling over her black shoes, her enormous shelf-like bosom, something, whatever it was, struck me as funny. A fifth grader, taller far than she was, I tried to stifle a laughing fit and had to hang my head to my chest to obscure my reddening face. Then a miracle. She saw the top of my bobbing head and convulsing shoulders and declared, I should be the one crying, young man. Ending her discipline, letting me stay out in the hall to collect myself. Well, she went back to resume class. But you must not imagine that I stood in the stunning silence of that empty hallway, terrazzo made gleaming by Earl, the half-wit janitor, lockers painted blue and white in honor of the Blessed Virgin, and recognized that mercy rains down on those most undeserving of it, those who have abandoned God altogether. Instead, see this devil child go back to the classroom, take his desk in the second row from the windows, second desk from the front, and roll his eyes to all who would watch while Sister Zita described the igloos Eskimos live in and told us the origin of the term chewing the fat. I normally read my January poem in January because I think I've done that enough. I didn't bring it, and I'm not going to extemporaneously do it like I did at the Christmas party. That was a catastrophe. I do not know my poems by heart, as it turns out. All right, so I was having a very, very interesting conversation with our next reader right before we started and had to cut it short because we were going to start. But Robert Leventhal, come on down.
So one poem, but a little preface. I split my time between Manhattan and Charleston. And at age 65, thinking my career is transitioning, I threw myself into creative endeavors blindly and just dove in and began to start painting at the Art Students League, put a paintbrush in my hand, and writing at the Gotham Writers Workshop. So this has been 7 years. I have a book coming out in May that is 60 poems with 45 of my oil paintings in a book that has paintings on one side and poetry on the other, sort of based on the 18th century travel journals, where they would make notes on the grand tour and maybe scribble a little pen and ink of a Rome fountain or something. and it's called the Memory Chest. This comes from one of the sections called Family Album, Stories of Love, Loss, and Legacy. And it deals with moving to New York at age 60 to start over after a 32-year-old marriage and going on a dating app. It takes its title from a British essayist called Samuel Johnson, who once said of second marriages, it's the triumph of hope over experience. So that's this poem, The Triumph of Hope Over Experience. Married twice, she didn't dream of a third. After 2 doctor husbands, she sought a new prescription. Career woman, kids at home, law school in 2 years. She had negotiated male-dominated legal world. Prospective suitors would be carefully deposed. East Side girl living in an upscale world didn't plan to meet a modest Midwest man, now separated, starting over at age 60 in New York. She just wanted a date for a show. Hand-holding preferred, cohabitation not needed, sex optional. Met on J-date. First dinner, she came an hour late. Repeated text about legal meetings that wouldn't end. Bartender mixed me a drink out of sympathy. Finally arrived, chemistry stirred at start. Loneliness had built a playlist of unshared stories, now streaming forward. Her daughter would know when we were on the phone. She heard sounds of laughter down the hall. There had not been much of that lately. Against all odds, there was, well, you know, I would say the words, for her unspoken, based on experience, she was reluctant. She playfully parceled out the first letters, L, O. She dangled the possibility of a V for months. Our sweet courtship dance, a prolonged game of hangman, the arrival of additional letters to be determined. She says, I proposed once in my sleep. Perhaps. Hope eventually rewarded with V and E and the exchange of rings. Despite a bruising past, I had dreamed of a chuppah.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing your book. I think I found that very interesting, and it has actually, I don't think you knew this, but we talked about it. It has ties to a member of the Poetry Society, and his extended family were members of the Poetry Society too, not nearly as progressive. But all right, we are coming very close to the end. And at first, Tamara did not want to read, but she has changed her mind. And I'm so glad for that, because you'll see, well, you already heard her once read tonight, but you're going to see her read her own work. So Tamara, come on down.
I'm holding the thought of Somewhere East of Heaven, read by with our British accent earlier. Thank you so much for all the poems, for second and third and fourth and fifth attempts at love in life. That's all we can do. It's the best we can do. So my friend Ashley Kraut, who is also on the board as our grants coordinator, has encouraged me to look at form again. She writes almost constantly in form, really knocking out some extraordinary sonnets. I've taken to calling them, by her last name, the Krautian sonnet. Anyway, so I decided to do syllabic verse. This is syllabic verse. It is 6 syllables and then 4 syllables. The title is 6, the first line is 6, the last line is 6. But more importantly, it's called Another Name for Love. Hackamore, full bridle. Chick, cracker, slick. Names of saddle horses called by cowboys out of a sea of grass. The Remuda. Camp is a chuck wagon, tents and teepees, meals over a wood fire and Dutch ovens, beef, biscuits, and coffee. 19 stallions, all the mates, pasture bred, a brood mare band, cattle on the ranch range. Hereford cows, a lot of black baldies, lasso flying, they wrangle or jingle, calve in the fall, roped and dragged to the fire to be branded. Each man shoes his own horse. Fillies broken, then fitted for a sale, and on the left shoulder, L. Thank you.
It's funny, COVID was so intense and it was such a life-changing kind of time. And now it seems I've almost forgotten about it, you know? It's like we went through all that and it's almost hard to imagine now. And I think about wearing a mask. I'm like, well, we used to do that. And we probably still should. I just recently heard that COVID is still the fourth, it's number 4 in what kills people.
Yes.
And you don't even think about it that way anymore. It's number 4.
150 a day.
Yeah,
Still.
it's crazy. I'm vaccinated, so I hope that it doesn't kill me if I ever get it, which I haven't. I think most people have had COVID at least once at this point, but I have somehow avoided it. So now that I say that, I'll probably get it. But so before we get our last reader up here, I want to say next month we have Maya Marshall. We are meeting at the Library Society, or no? We don't know. Do we know? I think it's the Library Society.
February, we are meeting at the Charleston Library Society.
Okay, we'll be back at the Charleston Library Society. It's almost like directly over there on King Street behind us. It's a really neat venue. And we will be announcing the winners of the fall contests. So if you entered the fall contests in November, then you might find out that you won something. So please plan on attending next month on the 23rd. Normally we're on the second Friday. This is a little bit different. So it is February 23rd. So I just want to make you aware of that. But going back to COVID, so we were at first the 2019 to 2020 calendar year. We were caught off guard by COVID. We didn't know about Zoom. We didn't know any alternatives. We ended up canceling the last quarter of our programs for the year. But we did get a few in before the shutdowns really shut us down. And one of those things we did, it was special because normally we have like a Christmas party. And we didn't thought, no, maybe we shouldn't have a party, but we had we called it a member spotlight, whatever it was called. Anyway, we picked a certain number of our hand chosen members and had a reading, and it was spectacular. It was one of the best events we've ever held, I think, and probably in front of an audience this small, unfortunately. But as good as it was, the person who brought down the house, the one who made everyone else look like a rank amateur, was Charles Watts. He was incredible. And so I'm putting a lot of pressure on you to really amaze us and knock this one out of the park tonight. We're going to end on Charles, and I want to thank everybody for being here. I know the weather was supposed to be threatening. I didn't think it turned out that way, but I think it kept some people at home. Thank everybody who supports us by being a member and has done so for a long time. And thank you for the new members who just joined tonight. And I hope we see a lot more of you as things go. So Charles, bring us home.
The Italians have an expression. Don't put pressure on me, don't put pressure. In fact, I'm going to read two things that I've read before in my life. The first one I brought a, obviously I can read all of these, but I'm only going to read two. The first one I chose to read is because Jim earlier mentioned dogs. So I had to pull one of my dog poems. I have a bunch of dog poems. So I pulled this one. It's called Lonely Road. It has an epigraph. The road itself, when he reached it in that loneliness that was everywhere, seemed like a stray dog to be looking anxiously for company. That's Kenneth Grahame, Wind in the Willows. How goes your search for meaning in this ragged world of empty hallways and doors that keep closing as you pass? Of all the great books that put you to sleep, of all the people who forget your name. And then you see her dancing on the edge of mystery, pulling you beyond what might have been, pulling you into the void of love, of need, of letting go, pulling you into a life complete and unexpected. You stroll, jog, stumble, trudge, cross the road because the road is there, calling sometimes for you to walk alone in agony, calling sometimes for you to walk together into the light of day, calling sometimes for you to run through life like a dog runs across a shallow river, never looking down and never missing a step. And a couple of times tonight it's been mentioned the Monday night poetry and music thing that went on for what, 7 years?
That was longer than that, 12 years.
12 years. I was there one night to do a reading. It was April 24th in 2017. The featured reader was Katrina Murphy, who's a prior president of the Poetry Society. And I wrote this poem as she was doing her reading while I sat at the bar and then read it at the end of the program. You'll get the idea behind it. It's called The Blonde at the Bar. The blonde at the bar was drunk and held a yellow rose. She could not help but offer commentary as the feature poet did her best to both ignore and respond to the interloper's voice. The blonde had a yellow rose, stroked her husband's clenched jaw with it, laughed and took his hat in a game of keep away. He reached over, held her to him to keep her quiet, and when the poet finished, got her stumbling up and out, holding her remains with loving smiles at the audience, and embraced her out the door, leaving the yellow rose behind. Thank you.
That's all, folks. Any questions or anything? Oh, I did bring additional door prizes. These are something that if you've been a member for a while, you might already have, but I brought some yearbooks to give away somewhere. They might be in that bag. We come up with, these yearbooks go all the way back to the 1920s, and there's lots of institutions that collect them. I've got two series there. They're like 3 in a row and 2 in a row.
2012, 2013, 2011, 2017, 2018.
Yeah. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm proud of these.
You already got your prize. You again got one. But who would like the 2011, 2012, and 2013 yearbooks?
Yeah.
All right, come on.
Fantastic.
Simon's getting those. And you're welcome. Now we got 2017, 2018.
One of those might have something by Jim in it, does it?
All right, Cheryl.
Fantastic.
And as a member, if you signed up at the $40 level, you will get a yearbook in the mail at the close of this year, which is in July. So, or any member above. And if you joined at the $30 level, then you will get a PDF. So we will send you so you can look at it on your computer. That's all, folks. Do you have something to say?
I would just like to read something from the 1921
Yeah.
yearbook.
Okay, 1921.
I always like to bring it back a little bit. 100 years later, we're still doing it right, and we're still doing it well. This is Earth by Teresa Lindsay. Beside a small arm of the sea, and with the west wind blowing, a little trellis of roses to shelter me from knowing the wind holds just a touch of cold. I lay me down and drink the sun, and watch the lint the wind has spun, and half forget that I am old. Old, how waters laugh and mountains mock as if they heard, and yet the earth is closer to a bird than to a man who grasps a lute, a fife, or kettle drum, and tries to strum a music that he cannot hear. Nor will he see the immortality the earth would show to those who rest confidingly upon her breast. Touch her. She is here to chronicle each year into the last, as she has written all the eons past, and she is friendly with the sun who from the frozen waste has won her wear, rippling waters for her hair and a green for dress of infinite loveliness. Through the body's living side, I feel the spirit beat of God in the hidden plan of things, no stranger worlds than cricket wings. The truth is near, divested of all ancient fear. We'll find it in some seeing hour beneath the petal of a flower. Oh, man makes the term and lives its limitations. The earth is one perpetual now. Backward or forward is the same to her. We are her breath, her speech. Our destiny is bound to her, as is the blossom to the tree. Perfect for a new year, welcome. And we are going to have an event also in Columbia, if you happen to be in that area. January the 20th, we're having sort of a unique event. It's called Poets on Stage. It'll be 3 poets on stage at the same time in cozy chairs, sort of interacting. Charles is one of the poets. Lovely Minos is another one, and Fran Cardwell will also be there. And we'll have a little music. And it's going to be sort of a, I would say sort of a drama, performance style poetry setting. Come out and join us, and also let me know if that's something that you would like to be involved in, because we're going to have one every month all year. Okay. Thanks a lot. See you soon.
Thanks for your comments.